sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. This one was actually listener submitted. We got that TMZ article about Jessica Simpson and Eric Johnson calling it quits after a decade of marriage.
Yeah.
So we figured, it's making headlines. Why not dive a little bit deeper, take a closer look,
Beyond the surface level stuff that we're seeing in the gossip rags.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And really explore what's going on here.
And it's easy to just focus on the split itself, but I think what's more interesting is, it's a 10-year marriage. They have 3 kids together. So there's a lot of history there.
Right.
A lot to unpack in terms of, what led to this point. So.
Yeah, definitely. And to unpack that, let's rewind a little bit and establish a timeline here.
Okay.
So just to give everyone a refresher, Jessica and Eric, they met back in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And they got engaged that same year.
Mm-hmm.
So, whirlwind romance.
Whirlwind, yeah.
But then they didn't actually tie the knot until 2014.
Right. So that's a 4-year engagement.
Right. Which is, that's definitely a detail worth noting. Studies have shown that longer engagements can sometimes be correlated with a higher risk of divorce.
Really?
Now, of course, correlation doesn't equal causation.
Right.
But it does make you wonder, what was going on during those 4 years?
Yeah, it's a pretty significant chunk of time.
Mm.
And, we have to think about everything else that was happening during that period for them, too. I mean, Jessica was building her fashion empire.
Yes.
She was becoming a mom.
Right.
And let's not forget, they both had previous marriages.
Yeah. They were both coming into this relationship with their own, baggage. Let's call it baggage from their past experiences. And that always, plays a role. Right?
Mm-hmm.
How do those past relationships shape our expectations and behaviors in the next one?
Totally. So we've got the long engagement. We've got the history that they're each bringing to the table.
Yep.
And then fast forward, several years later, and all of a sudden we've got this split announcement hitting TMZ.
Right. And it's interesting how they worded that initial announcement.
Yeah.
Very carefully, emphasizing their kids and, requesting privacy.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were trying to present a united front, even though they're, separating.
Right. It's like they're trying to control the narrative before it, completely gets away from them.
Exactly.
But even before this official announcement, there were already these hints that something was up. Mm-hmm. The TMZ article mentions that they were spotted out and about without their wedding rings.
Yeah. The missing wedding ring's always a big deal.
Right.
I mean, those rings, they're more than just jewelry. They're a symbol of commitment. And when they disappear, especially after, years of marriage, it often signals that something shifted internally.
Yeah, like a silent message to the world, like, hey,
yeah.
Things may not be what they seem.
Exactly. And then there was that cryptic apology to myself post that Jessica shared on social media a few months back.
Oh, yeah, that was in November. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember the caption?
I think it was something like an apology to myself for putting up with everything I didn't deserve.
Yeah, it was vague.
Yeah.
But very pointed at the same time.
Yeah.
And this was around the same time that she was spending a lot of time in Nashville focusing on her music, right?
Yes, that's right.
There were even reports that she was, almost living a double life, splitting her time between Nashville and LA where her family is.
Yeah, and that kind of geographic distance,
yeah,
can put a strain on any relationship.
For sure.
Requires a lot of trust, communication, willingness to adapt.
Right.
Which is tough.
And what's interesting is that her move to Nashville seemed to coincide with the period of, intense personal growth for her.
Yeah.
She's been really open about her journey with weight fluctuations, her sobriety.
Yeah.
Big life changes.
Absolutely huge life changes.
Makes you wonder how all of that might have impacted their relationship dynamic.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, when one partner goes through such significant personal transformation,
right,
it can either bring you closer together or it can really highlight those incompatibilities that were maybe masked before.
Right. And force you to confront some tough questions like,
yeah,
are we still growing in the same direction?
Exactly.
Can we support each other's individual journeys while still maintaining, a solid connection?
It's a challenge that a lot of couples face.
Yeah. Celebrities or not.
Celebrities or not. It's about finding that balance between personal fulfillment and commitment.
Exactly. And sometimes that balance just, it tips.
It does.
But before we get into all of that, I think it's worth taking a closer look at the events leading up to this split announcement.
Yeah.
Because, that TMZ article, it's just a snapshot.
Right. It's just a glimpse, a curated glimpse into their lives.
And a glimpse that's designed to,
get clicks.
Yeah, exactly. Get people talking. But there's always more to the story than what we see on the surface. So let's dig a bit deeper into Jessica's personal journey. I think that's where we'll find some really interesting insights into the complexities of love, growth, and resilience within a long-term relationship.
Okay, let's do it.
So I'm ready when you are.
What's interesting is that a lot of Jessica's personal growth has played out very publicly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, she's been incredibly candid in her memoir and in interviews, talking about, everything from her body image to, finding her voice as an artist.
Right. And that kind of public self-reflection can be so empowering.
Yeah.
Not just for the individual, but for everyone who can relate to that experience.
Right.
But it also kind of adds another layer of complexity to relationships.
Right.
Like how do you navigate these very personal, very deep transformations within the context of a partnership?
It makes you think about that apology to myself posted in a whole new light.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't even directed at Eric at all.
Maybe it was just, Jessica recognizing her own worth.
Exactly.
With setting boundaries.
Like almost apologizing to herself for past compromises.
Yeah.
For putting up with things that maybe didn't align with her values anymore.
Right. And that kind of shift in self-perception can be a huge catalyst for change.
Oh, absolutely.
Both, personally and in a relationship.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got Jessica finding her voice in Nashville.
Right.
We've got Eric back in LA with the kids. And they're both navigating these very personal journeys.
Right.
It's a lot to juggle.
It is. And let's not forget the added pressure of constantly being in the spotlight.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Can you imagine trying to work through these very deeply personal issues?
Right.
With the whole world watching and analyzing and speculating?
That'd be so much pressure.
It's like even if you want to keep things private.
Right.
You can't.
You just can't.
And then that TMZ article comes out with all those hints about divorce lawyers and whispers from sources.
Right.
It's like adding fuel to the fire.
Exactly. And it just highlights that double-edged sword of fame.
Yeah.
On the one hand, celebrities have this huge platform.
Right.
They can share their stories. They can connect with other people who might be going through similar things.
Right.
But on the other hand, they're under constant scrutiny. Their lives are just picked apart and judged in the court of public opinion.
It's like they're expected to perform their relationships for the world, to present this perfect image.
Right.
Even when things are falling apart behind closed doors.
And that pressure to keep up appearances, to maintain that facade.
Yeah.
It can be really isolating.
Absolutely. So, we've talked about the timeline, the symbolism, the personal journeys, the societal pressures. It's clear that this is not just some, simple celebrity breakup. This is a case study in,
complexities of love.
Yeah.
The growth of resilience in the modern age.
And I think that the real lesson here, the one that transcends the celebrity gossip aspect of it, is that relationships are constantly evolving.
Yes, they're not static.
Right.
There's no one-size-fits-all formula.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that both partners are on their own individual journeys.
Right.
And sometimes those journeys take unexpected turns.
They do.
And it's about having the courage and the compassion to navigate those turns.
Absolutely.
Whether that means finding new ways to connect.
Yeah.
Or ultimately choosing to walk separate paths.
Beautifully said.
So instead of, focusing only on the split, maybe we can shift our perspective a little bit.
Okay.
And appreciate the individual growth and resilience that both Jessica and Eric have shown throughout their relationship.
Yeah, I mean, they've both gone through major transformations.
Right.
Personally, professionally.
Yeah.
And navigated those changes under, immense public pressure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that resilience, that ability to adapt and evolve, it's something we can all learn from. Regardless of our relationship status.
Yes.
Think about it. We're all constantly changing.
Right.
Growing, discovering new aspects of ourselves. The question is, how do we embrace those changes?
Yeah.
While also maintaining, healthy, fulfilling connections with others.
It's that age-old question, right?
Right.
How do you balance personal growth with the commitment of a long-term relationship.
It's like a constant dance.
It is.
A negotiation.
Yeah, a negotiation between individual needs and shared goals.
And the key to that dance, I think, lies in communication. Open, honest communication.
Yeah.
Being able to really articulate your needs, your fears, your aspirations, and knowing that you're going to be met with empathy and understanding from your partner.
Exactly.
It's about creating that space where both people feel safe to grow, even if those journeys look different.
And sometimes that growth requires taking risks.
It does.
Stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Maybe even making choices that other people don't understand.
Right.
Like Jessica moving to Nashville.
Yeah.
She followed her passion.
Yes.
Pursued her music, even though it meant, spending time away from her family.
Right.
It was a bold move.
It was.
And it might not have worked out, exactly the way she envisioned, but it definitely contributed to her personal journey.
Absolutely. And sometimes the most valuable lessons come from those detours.
Right.
Those moments where we're forced to kind of step back, reevaluate,
Evaluate.
and make some tough decisions.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Jessica and Eric's story, I want to leave you with this. Their journey, even though it's, highly publicized, reflects a very universal truth about relationships. They're complex, they're always evolving, and there's no single roadmap to follow. What matters most is that we approach them with compassion, understanding, and a willingness to embrace, both the joys and the challenges that come with sharing our lives with another person.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
And sometimes the greatest act of love is allowing ourselves and our partners the space to grow. Even if those paths lead in different directions.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
We'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration into the depths of human experience.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.